So art has always been a part of my life. I grew up in a contracting family. At 6 months old, my grandfather had me in his pickup truck going to construction sites and coffee shops, learning all the construction lingo. My uncle was a master architect, and I think that's where I really got my formal training for art and design. I remember sitting there in his living room, and he told me to study the rug, and he wanted me to tell him what I liked about that rug, and that's where it really started. And I learned how certain designs and colors worked together and what didn't, and that's where I started learning the foundation of. 16, I found my way into decorative finishes, and that's where I really started finding a love for the craft. That was in high school, and it's also when I started my company. I went on to Maryland Institute College of Art, where I got a degree in graphic design, studied in Europe textile design, and when I came back from Europe, that's when I really started discovering Venetian plasters and special finishes, but I also started to cultivate a thought of the product doesn't make the artist makes the product. So I really came about and started to focus on the craft as a final product and not using a specific product off the shelf to create a finish. I found that giving back with my talents has been a huge strategy for success, and it's just a way to give back to our communities, and the more energy you put out, the more you're going to get back in. So every year I really focus in on philanthropic events. For success would be really getting tied in with your local Sherwin Williams store and finding a rep who really can appreciate decorative arts. I've been fortunate enough to have a rep here in the Baltimore area that goes above and beyond to get me the latest products and let me demo certain products for new finishes. And that's when I actually got introduced to the new Faux Impressions line. And I was telling my rep how I had to do a new bathroom with Venetian plaster, and that it was a very time-sensitive job, and he said, well, why don't you use our new Venetian plaster? And I gave him the look like, are you kidding me? I don't have time to experiment with a new product on the wall. And I did. And it was flawless. The contractors ended up digging up the wall, used the Venetian plaster, patched it right up. There was no problems with the patch. I've used the quartz stone and the crackle, and there has not been a product so far that I have not liked. So.
Inspiration.
I would have to say my favorite points of inspiration would be going into a client's home and either working with the homeowner or the interior designer and looking at their personality, their family life, how they interact with their home, and then going about designing a finish that actually goes with their personality and their lifestyle. And that really is a good source of inspiration to create a final finish.
To date.
What is my favorite project to date? I would have to say it always is my last project. So my favorite project to date would have to be antiquing a dining room table. And the reason why I say my latest project is always my most favorite project is because you always have momentum, and every project you learn a certain technique, or you design a new stencil and you're able to use that and bring that forward into your next design. So it's just this continuous momentum working towards future projects. So I would have to say it is always my last project to move forward. My favorite finish to install, and if you think I'm crazy, probably I am, but I love repeat patterns and figuring out the math, and any repeat stencil is my favorite to install with the texture to add in some pizzazz.